The moment she said it, the room tilted. He's nobody. Good thing I still remember his name. Not shouted. Worse, light, casual. A careless flick of a sentence meant to erase a decade of quiet devotion. She didn't look at me when she said it. She didn't have to. The damage was already done. Silence moved faster than sound. Glasses paused midair. Someone laughed too late and stopped. The pianist's fingers hovered, confused, above the keys. I felt every eye turn, then slide away, embarrassed on my behalf. She smiled then, my stepdaughter, radiant in white, and turned proudly toward the entrance. "I'd like you all to meet my real father," she said just as the doors opened. He had arrived 5 minutes ago. Late as always. He stood there, breathing hard, suit wrinkled, confidence borrowed from the room he assumed would welcome him. He waved once, a king reclaiming a throne he'd abandoned. Then the groom's father saw me. The man stiffened, his face drained of color. He took a half step back like he'd seen a ghost. "Oh my God," he whispered. "Too clear." She froze. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I had learned long ago that stillness is power when everyone else is scrambling to breathe. The venue was a restored vineyard, stone walls, iron chandeliers, the kind of place built to make people feel important for a few hours. Candles flickered along long tables. The smell of citrus and wine hung low in the air. Outside, the sun dipped just enough to make everything feel expensive and temporary. I had paid for all of it. Not loudly, not publicly. Quiet transfers, a foundation, a favor returned. My name nowhere on the program. Exactly how she wanted it. I had agreed because love, when it's unguarded, is foolish like that. For 12 years, I raised her as if she were mine, school runs, hospital nights, college applications. The wedding dress itself, hand-stitched lace flown in from Milan, was my idea, my money, my hands smoothing the fear off her shoulders when she panicked weeks ago and called me at 2 a.m. But blood has a way of rewriting history when it's convenient. Her real father stood taller now, sensing momentum. He straightened his tie, glanced at me with mild curiosity, the way you look at a coat rack you don't remember buying. I met his eyes and felt nothing. The groom shifted uncomfortably. He was a good man, weak in the ways good men often are. His mother whispered something sharp into his ear. The groom's father was still staring at me like he'd seen the devil step out of a shadow. I remembered him. Of course I did. He and I had met years ago in a boardroom that smelled like desperation and cheap cologne. He'd been begging then, voice shaking, company drowning, one signature away from collapse. I'd saved him quietly, thoroughly. I'd taken nothing public, only leverage, only options. The insult echoed again in my head. Nobody. That was the moment something inside me went cleanly, mercifully dead. I smiled. Not for her. For myself. I let the speeches continue. Let the wine flow. Let the band stumble back into rhythm. I shook hands. Accepted congratulations I no longer wanted because I no longer deserved them. I watched her laugh with the man who'd missed birthdays and broken promises. Watched her cling to the fantasy that blood absolves absence. Inside, I was already elsewhere. Planning has always been my refuge. Numbers behave. Systems respond. People, when pressed correctly, reveal themselves. I stepped outside during the second course and made 3 calls. No anger in my voice. No urgency, just confirmations. Yes, tonight. Yes, now. Yes, proceed. I returned to my seat just as the groom's father stood to speak. His hands trembled. His wife noticed. She always did. He cleared his throat too many times. He started with the usual platitudes, love, family, unity. His eyes kept drifting to me, then away, like a man trying not to remember a crime scene. Halfway through, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Once, then again. I watched his face change. Color returning too fast this time, sweat at the temple. He faltered. "Stop. I need a moment," he said. Whispers rippled. The band stopped again. He stepped down and walked toward me like gravity had decided for him. "I didn't know," he whispered, leaning close. "I swear, if I had known you were," I raised a finger. Gently. He stopped. "You did know," I said quietly. "You just forgot." He swallowed. "What do you want?" The question always comes. It's never the right one. Behind him, the groom's mother was already on her phone, face tight. Across the room, my stepdaughter watched us with irritation, not concern. Her father, real, triumphant, was busy accepting applause. I stood. That's when the notifications started spreading like fire through dry grass. The groom's father's company, rescued years ago, had just lost its credit line. The board had resigned. Regulators had questions. The merger announced last week evaporated from the screens mounted around the room. The groom checked his phone, then his mother's, then his father's face. "What's happening?" my stepdaughter asked, sharp now. Her real father frowned, confused. He reached for his phone and found nothing that could explain the way the room was shifting away from him. The groom's father spoke again, louder this time. "Everyone, there's been a mistake." No one listened. I took a step forward. "Just one. Enough, I think." I said, "Introductions are in order." She stared at me. Really stared. For the first time in years. Something like recognition flickered. Too late. The groom's father turned to the room, panic naked now. "He's the reason any of this exists," he said. "The venue, the trust. He's..." She shook her head. "No, he's nobody." I met her eyes. I said, "until you made me remember my name." The groom's phone rang. He answered. His face collapsed. The wedding planner was crying near the cake. Guests stood murmuring, coats half on. The groom looked at her, my stepdaughter, with a stranger's distance. "You told me your family was stable," he said. "You told me he was nothing." Her real father tried to speak. No one listened to him either. I leaned close to her. My voice was calm, almost kind. "I paid for today because I loved you. I stayed invisible because you asked. You wanted blood. So I gave you consequence." Tears finally came, not regret, fear. "I never touched what was yours," I continued. "I only took back what was mine." I walked away as the room unraveled behind me, contracts collapsing, alliances dissolving, a marriage breaking before it began. Outside, the sun had set. The vineyard was quiet, honest. I felt no triumph, just balance. Respect isn't demanded. It's enforced.